What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Hedera hash graph HBAR today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Here we are at about 19.6 cents now, finding support at a prior area of resistance. And I don't know about you guys, but the first time was rather exciting. It made a lot of sense that we would bounce from here. The second time, okay, we had a nice reaction, but here we are the third time not having such a powerful reaction at all, and I don't anticipate that we do, at least not right now, at least not from this low. I would think that we do break through this key area of support and find lower lows. I'm expecting that the market on average drops about 20 to 30%. My reasoning for that is if we look at the price of Bitcoin, we're at about 82.6K at the time of making this video. I'm anticipating Bitcoin is not done dropping yet. It's going to go to about $72,000 to $73,000. That's my expectation. Now, if it's wrong, maybe by like 1% or 2 or 5%, who knows, but something like that could happen. That's going to be an 11.6% drop to a 12.8% drop, something like that. If you want to know as to why I think this, you can watch my most recent Bitcoin video that I made. Bitcoin sound is on because I made one that was muted, bullish butterfly pattern. It'll explain why I believe that. But if Bitcoin, getting back to the point, 11%, it's like 11.6% to 13% of a drop. If that happens, then likely HBAR would also drop that much, if not potentially as much as double that. Oftentimes, if Bitcoin drops 10%, altcoins drop 20%. That's just kind of how it happens. Let's see if we can actually quantify that right here. Let's just look from a high to a low so far. HBAR's dropped 56% overall. From a high to a low so far for Bitcoin, what has it dropped overall? About 30%. So not quite twice as much, but pretty damn close, right? So if Bitcoin drops again, if it's like 11 to 13%, 11.5 to 13%, maybe we see HBAR dropping something on the lines of a 20% drop, which would take you below here, right? 20%, maybe 30% like the rest of the market. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It's not the lows that we were expecting, but as time goes on, it's revealing itself more, and we are being below this 236 here. It's very likely that we interact with the 382 area, if not below. So a lot of people might be concerned, people holding HBAR, and this is where I'm making this video really because I want people to not be worried, right? People have this attitude in the space where it's like, well, if we break through this, who's to say that we don't go all the way back through? If we break through this, it's over. No, that's not true. And don't get me wrong, we don't have to stop in the area I'm talking about. Sure, you could drop all the way to 10 cents, even 8 cents. But here's the thing, guys. Even if you drop to 10 cents or 8 cents, that's still a higher low you would likely build from and eclipse any prices that we drop to like afterwards. But I very much doubt that you see HBAR below 10 cents at all for the rest of this bull cycle. You might not see it ever again in your life. Who knows, man? This thing is not stopping here. That's for damn sure. And I mean that to the upside, not to the downside. But if it were to go below my expectations, it's possible. Let's address it. 8.3 to 9.8 cents is a possibility. I don't consider it as a likelihood. I consider it as a possibility, okay? What I do consider as a likelihood and a possibility is that we go down to 16.6 cents and likely just below there, okay? With very strong movements, oftentimes you do find support at the 382. And this was something that I was addressing back here a lot. It was looking like we were bullish, looking like we were going to move up. I had bullish anticipations of the market, and we bounced off the 236. It set us up to go higher, but we just didn't do it. We didn't complete the thought. So here we are back down here talking about a 16.6 cent area, and likely you go below. With the 382 specifically, whenever you interact with it on the first attempt, oftentimes you do go a little bit through it. So what would a little bit through that be? Well, again, if I'm expecting the average coin to drop about 20 to 30%, 20% is a little bit through that. 28% would take us to these prior highs over here, and that would be through the 382. Oftentimes, when you pierce through the 382 on your first attempt, what you see is a wick, and then you come back up and you close right above it. So I would expect, in essence, what I'm saying there is that when you move down below 16.653 cents, it will be very short-lived. I expect your amount of time that's going to be down there is less than a week. You know, from a time perspective and a price perspective, you're very near the point where you start to turn around once we're below the 382, okay? I would like to see this week, 4 days, 5 hours left. I would like to see if we do come down here, I would like to see that by the end of the week, we close back above it. If we close below the 382, that does set you up oftentimes for an opportunity to go to the golden ratio or at least the 0.5. So to absolve yourself of that, if you do close below the 382, it's very important that next week you close above it. Okay, very, very, very important on a weekly basis there. If we look at this, if we look at another fib, right, a very common thing that we're doing here is from a high to a low, hitting the expected area. This is the primary target zone, the 1272 to the 1618. It's what I've identified as the primary target area. Who cares what I think? But I've been doing technical analysis for 9 years now, essentially 9 years now, just under 9 years. And in my time doing this is what I've identified as the primary target zone. Oftentimes, whenever you do go above this high here, this is the area that you stop. Sometimes you continue through it in very bullish scenarios, but hell, man, this is a bullish scenario here, and you stopped right there just above the 1414, closing at it. Very common, like the 382 that we just addressed. You wick through the 1414, but oftentimes do close just below it like this. It's very common with this primary target zone that you hit and stop here, and then you pull back to the 100 to 786 area. Oftentimes, if you hit these deeper targets above the 1414, you do stop at the 886 or higher. Okay, the 886 or higher. So with that in mind, from a low to a high, again, the 382 is right above the 886. You oftentimes go just below the 382. In this scenario with the extensions, you oftentimes pull back to the 886 or stop somewhere higher. I think that if you were to have stopped somewhere higher, you would have already continued going up. You found support at this 100 area time and time again, but it hasn't held, and I don't think it will. I think you will go down to about 15.3 cents. You're at 19.5 cents. I'm coming in with the lethal accurate call of something around 15.3 cents to potentially 13.2 cents in that area. I would expect you do stop closer to the 886. But again, if you go to the 786, that's fine. That's pretty damn common to do as well. In fact, less common, but it still happens. You could go all the way to this golden ratio, which is at about 10 cents, nice psychological level of support there, and this golden ratio, relatively speaking, and find support. That's kind of your last leg. You don't want to break below that. That could actually cause problems if you do break below that, and it doesn't always cause problems, but it's just not what we want to see. We want to find support. Obviously, not here is probably not going to happen, so somewhere in this zone, if not even a little bit above the 886, okay? Now, if we look at the indicators, besides just the fibs here, if we're on a weekly time frame, we are getting below the 50. We are slipping a little bit. You can go lower and still look phenomenal, and I think that you will be phenomenal, right? If we draw this, if I could draw properly, let's see here. Connecting these dots here, connecting the lows. Look at that. The weekly RSI could afford to drop a little bit lower and still be perched in a nice trajectory upwards, right? Getting overbought on a weekly time frame and finding lows at the 40, or at least not getting oversold, that's really bullish, you guys. It's not a bad thing at all. I know that it's concerning for anybody that bought the highs that we haven't moved up yet, but just have patience. We're at the end of this dark tunnel. The light is in sight, okay? Not only would we bounce off of this trend line like this, but we would also bounce off of the 40 right here on the RSI, which tends to promote growth. Don't believe me? Let's look back and see what happened. I mean, here you rejected it, went oversold. When you rejected it and you got oversold, what did you do? Well, you went lower. Whenever you found support on it here, you got above it and you found support on it, what did you do? Well, you went higher, right? Bouncing off of this relative to this move, you guys, I expect nothing less than something miraculous to happen for HBAR. I very much do. And I just want to look at the 4-hour time frame before we move on real quick. 4-hour time frame, higher highs in the RSI while promoting lower highs in the price. You see lower highs in the price, higher highs in the RSI right here. That's hidden bearish divergence. That agrees with what I'm telling you. We're likely going to go down. We're likely going to go down from here. It's not. If we found support, we would have kept going. We wouldn't have stopped dead in our tracks here. The 1-hour time frame, also looking bearish. Getting oversold but not getting overbought is a bad thing. And this is how a lot of cryptos look, right? The 1-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frames, they look bearish. But you look at the daily, you look at the weekly, you look at the monthly, they're bullish. So short-term bearish, long-term, mid-term, the rest of the cycle bullish, okay? And people are getting very scared down here. We can see the crypto fear and greed index is at some of the lowest levels we've seen all cycle, and I expect by the end of this move, we might even be below a 10, man, but definitely at the lowest levels. 19, extreme fear, that's crazy. Crazy, crazy. That should tell you that it's a good time to buy. There's an old saying in this space, be greedy when others are fearful, be fearful when others are greedy. People are not greedy right now. The smart money is, but not everybody. There's a lot of people, a lot of first-timers, and even cycle-seasoned veterans in crypto that are crapping their pants, for a better word, lack of better word there. But let's talk about the upside, okay? Let's talk about the upside. Whenever it comes to breaking out to new all-time highs, because I do believe you're going to move down to about like 15.3 cents, 13.5 cents, something like that, somewhere in that area, right? We're at 19.7 cents now. A 20 to 30% drop is probably on your way. If you drop a little more than 30%, it's okay. If you don't drop quite 20%, that's okay. But that's my expectation, okay? Something around 20 to 30%. From a high to a low here, and from 19.7 cents, that's that 20 to 30% drop. High to low here, your next target area, your primary target zone, is the 1272 to the 1618. Now, I don't think we're going to see prices at 315 by the end of this move. By the end of the cycle, yeah, I think so. By the end of this move, no. I think we're most likely going to stop between $1.21 to $1.80. And likely we do go even a little bit higher than, I shouldn't say likely, but we have a chance of going higher than that. If we take this, actually, I want to take this fib here. Hold on. I want to take this one and just see if it overlaps. High to low here. Your 2618 is right there at about $2. Your 2272 lines up with the 1272. Something around $1.20 to $2 makes a lot of sense to me. You're at 19 cents now with the prospects of going to 15 to 13 cents, somewhere in that range, right? 15 and a half to 13 and a half cents, right? From the current price, let alone from those lower prices, your minimum target is about a 5. Almost, it's a 6x. Your minimum target is a 6x. And people are worried about HBAR. No, don't be worried, my friends. It's not a bad thing. You could go even at a maximum target. I would say something on the lines of like a 9, almost a 10x, you guys, is possible. And I really doubt you go up here. I don't think HBAR is going to see a 15x on this next move. But by the end of April, sometime in May, yeah, and I actually do think this top will come in beginning, middle, end of May. You know, I should just say in May. It'll come at some point in May. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, maybe it's sometime in April, but I do think late April to late May is when we can expect this next phase of this next move to fully resolve itself. I'm anticipating you don't stop at $1.20 because while yes, that is the minimum target and we should accept it as a possibility, and I do accept it as a possibility, the reason why I don't think that we stop there is you have been consolidating. This is your bull market high to low. When you break out of your all-time highs after having a move like this, I can only imagine that you will have some strength going into this next phase. I wouldn't even be surprised if you saw a move that was stronger than your last move. And if we put this at the low, the potential low, let's put it at like 15 and a half cents maybe. Let's put it at 13 cents to be more conservative, right? 13 and a half cents. I mean, even there, that puts us above the 1272, okay? Even there, it puts us above the 1272, and I don't think we go that low. Oftentimes, if you get above the 1272, you continue to go to the 1414. There's a lot of resistance at $2, so I don't think you break above $2, but you get near it, you know. And at any rate, this is the expectations over the coming weeks and months. The expectations over the coming days and hours are what we talked about in the beginning, a little bit lower. I hope you guys understand where I'm going with this, right? HBAR is not in a bad position. It's absolutely in a phenomenal position, and it likely grows higher than anything that we've even talked about so far, right? By the end of this cycle, which who knows when that is, I'm expecting sometime in October, November, December of this year to be the end of the cycle, the last quarter of the year. But it could be 2026. It could be earlier. I had a dream last night where the cycle ended in June or July. You know, and nobody talks about June or July. A lot of people are talking about March, April, May being the cycle end. A lot of people are talking like I am about October, November, December being the cycle end. And some people are even starting to talk about into 2026 being the cycle end. But nobody's really talking about that in-between area there in like June, July, August, right? It could top off anytime. We don't know. But if the cycle goes how I'm expecting it to go, if it does continue into October, November, December, I could see HBAR going all the way up. I mean, dude, let's look at your market cap real quick. Just so I know I'm not saying things that are crazy. $8.3 billion. This thing could see it could definitely see a multi-100x, right? A 10x would put it at $83 billion, and that's here. I think you'll be at $83 billion by your next, or at least around $80 billion, if not above $80 billion by the end of your next move. I think that's already going to attain by the next move, let alone by the end of the cycle. You probably do see a market cap that's worth multiple hundreds of billions of dollars. 200 or more, right? So a 10x is 80 billion. A 30x would essentially be a $240 billion market cap, and a 30x actually is pretty damn close to this Fibonacci extension area at the 1886 to the 200 zone. Now, are you going to see this? I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that already at a 33x potential to a 45x potential puts you above most of the pack, right? I expect most cryptos from their current prices to see something on the lines of a 25x or so by the end of the cycle. So this will perform above average, let alone if it goes all the way up to its 2272, which I'm not saying it does, but if you do that, that's a 100x. And I don't know if HBAR is capable of this, but that would be an 800 near $900 billion market cap, right? Actually, not quite, not even. It'd be closer to $800 billion market cap. That's really high. But I have a theory that there are going to be a lot of coins that are going to see multi-$100 billion market caps this cycle. And I say a lot, it's going to be like a handful, right? I think HBAR is going to be part of that handful. Now, does it see $20? I accept it as a possibility. I accept it if HBAR was to go as high as it possibly could go, it'd probably be $20, but I don't think that's going to happen. Does it stop at $3.15? You know, that's a possibility as well, but that's below average for the average altcoin. I accept it as a possibility. I don't expect it as an outcome. The most likely outcome, right? If we've got accepted outcomes here that we don't really expect, accepted outcomes here that we don't really expect. What's right in between there? $6.62 to $9.08. To me, that makes the most sense. That's where we're going to go. I bet once we get to $9, people are going to be like, it's going to go to $10. That's going to be the top psychological resistance. And we probably sell before then. So $6.62 to $9.08 is the long-term end of cycle goal. That's my personal target that I have. I accept $20 could exceed my target. I accept $3.15 could impede my target, but I do believe that we're going to go to this area. In the short term, we're going to drop down to 15.5 cents, 13.5 cents, something like that. In the midterm, we'll see prices around $1.21 to $1.80, probably just below $2 if I really had to guess, maybe even right at $2. And then long-term, end of cycle, we're looking for targets that are phenomenally higher than that. Okay. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. The monthly RSI is bullish. The weekly time frame is bullish as hell. The daily time frame is even bullish, honestly. But they all suggest, or at least the shorter term time frames suggest you have a little bit lower to go. Okay. To be fair, the daily RSI is actually not super bullish. It actually is in a bearish posturing right now. But you have been in this downtrend for a while. You can't persist forever with this downtrend. Just like this uptrend here can't persist forever. We're getting to the oversold zone. It's going to come to an end here. The light is at the end of the tunnel. We're at the end of the tunnel, you guys. We just have one more descent to go, okay? Don't get shaken out. This next move will cause a lot of capitulation. People are crapping their pants right now, shaking in their boots. They're holding out for price to not go lower. A 20% drop will kill it. It'll cause a lot of people to capitulate. Please don't be one of them. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Do whatever you think is right by yourself, of course. These are just my opinions. I got nothing else for you. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.